What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today we're going to be taking a look at some information that was, in a sense, somewhat hidden within all of these interviews that were taking place at the San Diego Comic-Con. It's kind of very hard to keep track of them. You're watching one interview, next thing you know, news breaks out that something else was said in another interview that you probably watched but didn't necessarily pay attention to because all this information is just whacking you left and right. So what is this information that I'm talking about? Well, shout out to our community member here, Suspicious Tension, who's always keeping us in the loop as to some of these things. It appears that Patrick Reddin may have spilled the beans on an event that's probably going to be taking place, maybe not necessarily an event, but a reveal that the developers have planned, which is a villain reveal. It appears that in one of the interviews, he got a question about the villains, and he said he would prefer to do a follow-up to that question in a few weeks after their villain reveal. So it appears Warner Brothers Games Montreal already has something on the schedule, and the creative director just dropped it without anybody even bothering to say anything. I guess maybe it slipped, or maybe he purposefully, intentionally dropped that hint so that we could probably start looking at our possible dates, because the game right now is going to be ready in 3 months. Now, what are the highlights of all of this, or what are the upsides to this? And I understand that right now many people are looking forward to possibly seeing the Red Hood character trailer, maybe even some more gameplay to kind of see how Red Hood plays in a much more high level scenario. Now, whether or not we're going to get that particular gameplay, I don't know. But the villains have also been something that have raised big questions in the community since the reveal of the game. For those of you who remember, the very first hint that we got surrounding Gotham Knights, even before we knew what the name of the game was, it was first called Project Redacted. We were first introduced to a villain group before anything else was actually added to the mix, and that was the Court of Owls. So since then, we've been trying to maybe posit which villains will be in the game here and there. The developers eventually released some kind of a cryptic puzzle that everyone had been trying to probably solve, but it hadn't necessarily been fully completed to know who all is going to be in the game in terms of bad guys or bad groups or villain groups, if you want to call them that. And everyone has just been waiting to see how this is going to play out. Now, I'm not saying they have to reveal every villain in the game. That would probably ruin a lot of things. I think maybe at some point after the game has been released, they can start doing trailers showcasing some villains that they probably want to keep hidden for the meantime. And then eventually we can get to see it as the game is released as some sort of a surprise. But keep in mind also that as we were eventually getting more and more information, we got to see the Penguin, and we also got to see Mr. Freeze, which is basically an indication that you're going to have those villains or members of Batman's rogue gallery that kind of work on their own, or at least own their own crime organizations. And then there will be the potential where villain groups are also another set of antagonists that you have to deal with over the course of the game. Another interesting highlight is if we were to actually go back and look at Warner Brothers Games Montreal's history with being able to write villains or adapt villains to a video game, I think we can say with a lot more certainty that Arkham Origins was very good because of the way the writing involved its villains over the course of the game. When you played Origins, you could feel the weight of all of these enemies coming after you. Batman literally had a hit put on him to be executed in one night for a hefty sum. And as you were playing the game, you could see that almost all your encounters were not only to basically push away these threats, but to uncover the originator of this hit and why the hit was even put on you in the first place, which ended up revealing another villain that we probably weren't expecting as the game unfolded, who was the Joker. Now, we have been told that the Joker is not going to be in the game, and also there was a mention of one Riddler question mark that's only going to be in the entire Gotham Knights game. So it appears the developers are probably trying to expose more villain groups or more villains into Gotham Knights. But it's really fun nonetheless that a team and a development company, even though they haven't necessarily made their own game, in a sense, their independent game, when they had the opportunity to make Arkham Origins, they were able to do a very good job in emphasizing how the villains really do cater to the story surrounding Batman. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to adapt these villains to all of the 4 knights in this Gotham Knights saga. If we also want to kind of go back and look at a few things, I think the League of Assassins were probably some of the villain groups that were also somewhat highlighted We don't know if there's going to be any special relationship between them and maybe Jason, because there is a relationship in the canonical side of things. And it will be interesting to know who else is going to be trying to maybe fight against the Gotham Knights, or maybe possibly fighting alongside, because sometimes these villains usually have a change of heart when things start to go south real fast and everybody starts to buddy up with Batman or his associates. Some of you can even remember how in Arkham Origins, you had Lady Shiva eventually kind of maybe buddy up with you, or at least end her own encounter with you on a much more amicable note. And then in Arkham Knight, you had a very huge and important ally in Poison Ivy, which was actually quite surprising to me, because it appeared that Batman and Poison Ivy were not necessarily on the best of terms when you actually look at everything from Arkham Asylum. Then you also had Catwoman, who was already doing her own little dealings here and there, but was pivotal for Batman's survival in Arkham City. And it appeared that in Arkham Knight, she pretty much dragged Batman into this whole feud with the Riddler, which was kind of a way to design the game. So all of these different villain dynamics from the Batman Rogue Gallery is going to be interesting to see how they're going to adapt it to the game. Now, the one thing that I'm kind of interested in, and like I mentioned, are the different villains going to seem, or at least present themselves differently depending on the night that you're actually dealing with? And these are very interesting questions, because that would probably mean there will be some depth to the game to every night that you're actually playing. So if you're maybe playing Batgirl and she encounters some villain, it will probably be an entirely different encounter with another of the night that you're actually dealing with. But these are some of the things that are upcoming in the community. I'm not quite aware of what dates we'll probably be seeing any of these. My guess is August and September would be the prime time to just stack up on some of these different details, because the game is coming out at the end of October. So perhaps I think we're probably going to be seeing 3 to 4 major reveals, 2 in August, and then maybe 1 in September, and then 1 final one in October before the game comes out. But if there are more of them, then that will be great for everyone. We'll be able to catch a few more glimpses of the game, and more people will probably be able to make up their minds even better, because to me, I feel like more information is better for those who may be on the fence, those who may already be in the league, who are already saying, I'm going to get this game, and those who are probably way out there saying, you know, I don't want to have anything to do with this game so far until I get to see some more information. So thanks so much for watching the video. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience. Shout out to you, Suspicious Tension, for actually dropping this on my feed. And so far, so good. A lot of you here in the community have really been bringing it with your participation and with your contributions, which is the most important thing for me on this channel. So thanks so much. If you want to join the community, you know what to do. You can hit the subscribe button, notifications, or a like or dislike. That's something that definitely will keep you in the loop. Thanks so much for watching once again, and we'll talk very soon. Peace out.